Hello, my name is Tom Jin. I'm coming to you from beautiful downtown Washington, Missouri. It's the world's largest hot dog cart. It's in the Guinness Book of Records 2 years in a row. Despite what it look and sound like, I'm not going to teach you barbecue. What I am going to do is I'm going to learn and hopefully learn with you or teach you something about building a hexacopter from the ground up. I decided on using the Happy Model S500 Pro hexacopter. A couple of reasons I decided on the hexacopter configuration was A, I wanted the redundancy if a motor goes down, so you don't lose flight, obviously. And B, I wanted to be able to have a little additional thrust so I could use maybe a heavier gimbal and camera setup. Anyway, without any further ado, let me go ahead and let's get started.
Okay, the first things we're going to look at here is the basic components of the copter itself. The reason I chose this particular model is because it came with a built-in circuit board, which makes things easier to weld and to solder together. There's this plus and minus here where you put your wires here. Everything's integrated on top. And also I wanted a hexacopter because I wanted the addition of being able to lift a heavier camera and whatnot. Other things, like I said, this is the first time I've ever done this, so I've had to rely on YouTube quite a bit because, well, here's the instructions. As you can see, they're not very detailed, to say the least. Anyway, but there's a lot of places on YouTube where you can look at the different builds on these things, and I think you'll find them interesting. I'm going to put together the landing gear first. So I'm not going to sit here and spend a lot of time explaining what's going on here. You can look at this wonderful technical drawing here by some Chinese dude in the Orient. Okay, so without any further ado, let me go ahead and put together the landing gear. Okay, the first thing I want to stress is, yes, this is carbon fiber, so it's a very, very durable material. It went together very easily. So far I'm very impressed with the quality of this kit. It was $77 through a Chinese firm called Hobby King. The main thing is when doing this part here is to make sure you're straight here, so whenever this is put on the chassis it will be straight. And here's the various components. The only comment I have is there's a little bit of flashing around some things. So I had to make some holes here and line things up. Other than that, it went together beautifully. Made me look like I know what I'm doing. Yeah, okay, sure. Okay, for the next thing I'm going to put together the other, and then we're going to attach them to the bottom of the control ring. Okay, I got the two landing gears put together, and I'm looking at the control wing here. This is where it mounts on. Now, there's two ways I've seen this done. First one I've seen with this up, where you can actually hide all the wires and everything and have all your electronics inside here. The instruction says to attach the landing gear first here, but I've seen people put the arms of the quadcopter or the hexacopter on first. I'm going to follow the instructions simply because I saw what he was doing was kind of problematic. He had problems getting to the bolts and was coming at sideways to these small 2mm hex screws. So I'm going ahead and I'm going to attach the landing gear to the control board now. I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm glad I paid attention to the instructions and did in order, because these bushings where the screws go into are very tight. If I'd had the arms on there, well, you would see what you'd be up against, and end up stripping the heads out of your different screws here. There are 8 of them in the package. Don't lose any, because that's all there is, folks, for this particular build. I'm going ahead and attach the other landing gear. As you notice, they come out at an angle like that. As you can see, this is turning into a sizable craft here. So it's going to be a good size for maybe a GoPro or a Mobius or something along that line. But I'm going ahead and put the other landing gear on the chassis here. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Okay, there we are with the plate in place with the two legs. went together very nicely. I think before I do my final build, I'll probably put some Loctite on the threads here just as precaution. It probably doesn't need it because these go in there very tight. You have to thread them in there. You can't just push them through. So, and that's great. And these are held together. Basically, I don't know if you can see these here or not. These little brass bushings right here. So, very well thought out there. Okay, the next part is putting together the tray. It's this case here for the battery and a future gimbal for the camera, which I plan to purchase. I'm still doing research on that, so in fact everything's still kind of a research point right at the moment. I don't know what type of motors to put on here, what brand, voltage, etc., batteries. So I truly am just learning. This is a new thing for me, so hoping you're learning a little bit. And so far I really like this copter. It seems to be well made and durable. I haven't really found out how durable it is yet, but I guess first time I crash it, I guess I'll figure that out. But next thing we're going to start assembling the battery tray and gimbal section. Okay, I've laid out the different parts for the battery tray. Here's the actual tray that the battery will lay in there. You have these grommets here that go inside these mounting brackets here, and this apparently will slide on these two rails, so you can move it back in and out if you have problems with your center of gravity. Then you have this nifty little Velcro strap to actually strap your battery in. I'm not sure this is some sort of Velcro. I'm sure it has something to do with this, but I haven't figured that quite out yet. So let me go ahead and assemble this and put it onto the airframe. Okay, I have one side, the bar put in place. A couple pointers I want to just make real quick, trying to figure out how to do this. I found it was easier to put the screws in place here first, and then to put the carriages on these brackets here next, and then screw them together, you know, one screw at a time, back and forth. Also found out that you'll probably want to put like a light lubricant or like a Vaseline on the shaft. That's what this is here, is a little bit of Vaseline. That'll dry and it'll go away. Reason being is because as you push in on the grommets, they want to twist out. So I was concerned that these would come loose in flight. I don't think they're going to, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. It was a bit of a fight, but I was able to get it in there after I figured out what I needed to do. So I thought maybe this might help you guys and gals as you try to assemble your own. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put the next one bar in place, and then I'll assemble the battery tray. Okay, here we have the finished build. It doesn't have any of the electronics on it yet, and motors obviously. It's just basically the basic chassis. Had a few issues trying to get these arms on, mainly because the issue I had was getting these screws in here. They're real tight to here, and I had a large Allen wrench that I was working with. My suggestion is, if you go with the same type of tool to assemble this with, is to put this leg in this bracket last. That way you have room to move around with. So there's validity to, like I said earlier in the show here, that to put this in place first and to put it on second, like I was telling you, because of the way that these screws will get interfered with. I've got the top plate in place here. It's going to go this direction here. If you look very closely here, you can see that this is interlocked. So this is well put together. Again, the legs are made out of carbon fiber. Other than a couple burps here and there, I was rather pleased with the way this went together. It's very quality looking. It looks very strong, and hopefully it will service me for several hours of flight time. Anyway, thanks for coming in. We'll talk to you guys later, and hopefully soon I'll be able to get the motors and the electronics for it, the controller, etc., and be able to set it together and maybe go over how to calibrate everything. Thank you very much.